Hi everyone, it's early January and it's that time of year when we start to think about organizing, and it's organizing our time, organizing our lives, organizing our homes and our drawers and everything else. So I kind of wanted to start out with talking about organizing time. I have had a system that I use to set goals that I have used for many years, and it really is helpful to me so that my goals are actually goals and not just dreams or a big something I say. And I actually don't set goals yearly. I set goals quarterly, and I set them by season because in my family, and especially when I was a school teacher, our lives changed a lot by season. So right now we're in the winter season, and that involves things like blowing snow and indoor activities and homework, those kinds of things. Whereas in spring, the snow blowing goes away if we're lucky, and we can do more outdoor kinds of things. And then in summer, when everybody's out of school, it's a whole different group of things. And then of course in the fall, when people get back into school, then our lives shift again. So because our lives shift regularly by season, I set goals by season. So my quarterly goals go winter season, which is December through February. And then I have spring goals that go March, April, and May. Summer goals are June, July, and August. And fall goals September, October, November. So that's how I set them, because what we're using even at our house changes. So the way we use our garage shifts, and the way we use our storage room and our yard. And so if I'm organizing my home based on those seasons, then I know that when I set my summer goals, I have some yard things to attend to. I need to attend to the bees. So it makes a lot more sense to set goals by season rather than just yearly. So I have already done my winter goals, and I'm going to be very open, and it's kind of personal, but I really want to give you some help in setting goals. So you're going to see the way I set my goals, and some of them are very personal. I'm not getting too personal, but I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to also show you my bullet journal that I have created, and I'm shifting to a bullet journal away from individual papers and things because I wanted to give it a try. And please keep that in mind, that when you're setting goals, what worked 5 years ago may not work now, and it's okay to shift the way you do things. And so let's get on to the overhead camera, and I'll talk you right through that whole goal setting thing. So the journal I have been using for a couple of years is just a really sturdy composition book that I found at a grocery store, and I've loved it. It's full of pictures and doodles and notes stuck in and all kinds of things, but you can see it's pretty beat up and it was used up, so it was time to switch. And I found this book called The Bullet Journal Method that really had some just practical ideas about keeping track of your time and doing it simply without a lot of frills, and about the importance of writing. So I got this bullet journal that is a dot journal, and I just really like it. And so that's a key thing. I also went through with my Cricut, and I made some things to decorate my journal. And then I just took some pens and decided to do a creative little spread for the new year. My goal with this journal is not to be very artistic and take a lot of time decorating pages. I had some time on New Year's Day, so I went ahead and did this little part of it. But my goal is to keep it simple and easy. This isn't an art journal. And so that's what I want to show you, that you can do a bullet journal without going into the great detail that you might see on videos on YouTube of people do beautiful bullet journals. My goal is not that. My goal is to make this useful and practical for me to keep track of my life. So I'm just going to show you some of the spreads that I've done and how I did them using different supplies and my Cricut. And so you can just watch along and see some of these things that I've done. One of the most important pieces of this journal is a tracker for seizures and medical things for my daughter. So it's one thing I learned in the book is one of the most important things you can track is medical issues. And where my daughter has seizures, we have to keep track of when she has those and things that will bring them on. And so I put this at the very back of my bullet journal so that if I need it, if there's an emergency, it is right there, super easy to get a hold of. So I'd suggest that for anyone that has medical issues that need to be kept track of. So here I'm working on the cover of my bullet journal, and I used my Cricut to cut out the year and my word for the year. And one reason I love using the Cricut for the bullet journal is it's just so fast and easy to do headers and some decor. And yeah, I don't want this to be a big, decorated work of art, but I do want it to be pretty. And the Cricut just makes it so easy to create these titles and headers. And so I put the year and then my word of the year, which is success. I try to have kind of one word that is something I'm striving for that year. And because I'm doing this YouTube channel and my daughter and I are working together, that's my title for the year. And I didn't like my future log pages. It was too messy and the pens bled through to the next page. It bugged me. So I went ahead and printed off a 2022 calendar on sticker paper and cut it apart. And then I was just able to apply those little calendar stickers to cover all of those headers that I ended up not liking, because tidy is kind of a thing for me. And so I just like it so much better. And I was glad I actually made that change. Okay, so here we are. This is my 2022 bullet journal. On this page, I'm really wanting to put a quote. And so I have a quote that has been guiding me the last few months. And so I want to stick that in here. I'm going to I printed this off on my computer and I'm just going to kind of tear it apart like that, because the next page I'll be doing my table of contents, and so I don't want anything too bumpy. I think I'll go ahead and cover that. That's just information I really don't need. And then I went ahead on my Cricut and I made a whole bunch of little hearts, because this quote is, never let a problem to be solved become more important than a person to be loved. And I love that quote, and it has been inspiring me for quite a while now, so I decided to use it for this year's quote. So I used 3 different brands of vinyl to do this. This one is the Oracle brand, first time ever using it. And so we're going to weed that, and I'm going to kind of see, I really like how that comes up. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And I found this heart in Design Space, and I liked it because it has an outside and an inside, and I'm actually not going to use the weeder for this because I want to preserve both parts of the heart so that I can put these around the page and just decorate it that way. I'm really kind of loving using the Cricut for all of this bullet journaling. I think it's really fun. Now, this vinyl is from Paper. It's the Paper Place. I think that's what it's called. I think it's it might be a Hobby Lobby brand. I'm not sure, but I'm really liking that one. So same thing. I want to preserve both the lining and the inside of the heart. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those around on the page. I love those outlines. I just think those are really pretty. Okay, now this last one is Dollar Store, and this is the Dollar Store glitter vinyl. You can see the problem with it, and I told you about this in my Christmas Cricut haul, why I'm not a big fan of the Dollar Store vinyl, because that backing, this white backing, is so thin that it tears, and it's really hard to get the things that you're making off of your sticky mat. And so if you're going to use the Dollar Store vinyl, my recommendation would be that you only do very small things with it, because we tried to do a big project and it really was pretty much a disaster. So yeah, and when you put it on the normal vinyl settings, because that paper is so thin, it really kind of cuts through, and it's just not as nice. And I don't know, I really am sort of in a debate about whether it's worth $1 or not. So, but of course, now you may have used it and found it very effective, and easy and fun, and that's okay too. Okay, that's just my little quote for the year that's going to guide. So that is my bullet journal. Now let's talk a little bit about the supplies that you need for a bullet journal, supplies that are really kind of necessary, and then the ones that are just nice to have. So of course, the first thing that you really must have to do a bullet journal is a notebook. And I got this one at Barnes & Noble, and I like it because it's a dot journal, so it doesn't have lines. So if I want to draw, I don't have those lines in the way. So this is an idea that I saw that I thought was a really good idea, is in the front somewhere, this is just on the other side of my future log, you count how many dots this way and how many dots that way, and go ahead and write that down so that throughout the year as you're creating a spread, you don't have to recount and go, okay, where's halfway, that you've got that written down to save yourself some time. I thought that was a great idea. Okay, so the first thing you need, of course, is a notebook. And you saw the one that I had last year. I mean, I showed you that. Very simple, very straightforward, and kind of ragged. Okay, then another thing that you're going to need is a good black pen. Now, I want very much a pen that doesn't bleed through. It irritates me when you write on a page and then you turn the page and you can see what you wrote on the previous page. So I have two that I really like. One is called the Papermate Ink Joy. It's a gel pen. And then the Pilot G2. That is just a really straightforward pen. Both are pretty easy to find. They're not expensive. And so those are my favorite black pens because they flow easily and they don't bleed through. And then another thing you're going to need is a clear ruler. I got this one years ago at the dollar store. I also have this one that was more expensive, and I keep this one at my desk now with my tools. But I like this longer one because, I'll show you in here, this ruler, it won't reach down the whole page. It will reach across, but not down the whole page. So I just like that one that's a little bit bigger. So absolutely necessary to have a ruler as you're doing your layouts, and a clear ruler helps a lot. And then what you also need is a place to keep your supplies. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. Good to have, not necessary, but nice to have, or maybe some guidebooks. I really love the bullet journal method because it's just so in-depth about setting the goals and journaling, and it's no frills. This isn't the type of thing where you're decorating up every page and making it a work of art. It's just how do you manage your time. And then I have this one, Creative Journaling, that just gives some fun ideas for fun layouts and kind of inspiring. Between the two, I use this one a lot more just because it is the practical how-to. So that's a good idea, maybe not absolutely necessary, but helpful. One thing that I would not go without is a mechanical pencil. I am super picky about pencils, and this is my favorite. It is by Pentel. It's called the Twist Erase. It's the 0.7 lead, and I love it. I have tried every mechanical pencil out there, pretty much every brand of pencil, and I am super picky, and I think this is probably one of the best mechanical pencils you can get. Those are about $7. So in the realm of pencils, when you can buy a pack for $2 of 20, it is a little bit more expensive, but I feel like it's worth it because this is a never throw away. A lot of those cheaper mechanical pencils, they don't keep working. And this one I've had, I don't know, probably at least 2 years. I have another one that I have used for close to 10 years, still works perfectly fine. And so a good mechanical pencil, I think, is really important. And the other thing that I would call a necessity would be just a box of colored pencils. And they don't have to be fancy. This is a brand I like for just everyday use. It's got nice colors. It goes down thick. It's pretty nice. And so you'll use those to check off boxes, color in boxes, and just add a little bit of color. So maybe some people would not put that in the necessity category. I would. Okay, and so those are the really must-have supplies that I think would be this. So you can see it really isn't that much. It's, you know, easy to carry around, easy to manage. Now, I would add on washi tape, and we have this big old thing of washi tape, and I love it. I think it's fun. So what I do as for a place to keep all my stuff, I just keep it all right there in my washi tape bin. And I bought this bin at Hobby Lobby, and I really do like that. One way that we use the washi tape is, you know, to show, I know that my future log, because this is basically the family calendar, I'm going to be going back to that often, so I designate those pages with washi tape so that I can actually see it right there in the journal, and it just makes it so easy to go to that page. So the washi tape is fun, and it just kind of adds a quick bit of color, and that is where I keep all of my bullet journal supplies. Now, some people have massive bullet journal supplies, and so let's talk about some of those other things besides washi tape and the books and things that you might need to just make it more fun. A lot of people use colorful pens and highlighters. I'm not a huge fan just because they bleed through, and I kind of have an issue with that. And I haven't yet found truly a good pen that doesn't bleed through. So if you know of one, please comment below about that. So colored pens and highlighters, and then I really am loving these stencils that I got on Amazon, and I will link everything here that I can find sources to. I'll link below, and I do appreciate it when you buy by clicking on our links, because that helps us. But these stencils, this is my favorite, just are a lot of fun for creating layouts and spreads easily. You can do months. There's days of the week and months of the year, and just some things you might use, vacation, to-do checklist. And so those are, oh, here's some fun circles. So they're just some fun stencils just to add a little bit of fun to your bullet journaling, but certainly not necessary. Now let's talk about setting your goals, because that really is kind of a key thing as we are going through our day and trying to figure out what matters. I have a system that I have used for quite a while, for actually several years, that I want to show you. And my system went from a folder, a binder like this with my weekly schedule and my goals, but I'm moving to the bullet journal just because I want to try it, and it sounds fun to me. So I am going to make available to those who are part of our Coming Home Facebook group. You can join that Facebook group. You'll go to Coming Home, and there are 3 questions to answer, and then you can ask to join the group, and these papers that I use will be available there, as well as a little page about 5 key things that you can do to increase your likelihood of attaining your goal. And so you can get both of those in the file section of the Facebook group called Coming Home, and they're free. So go ahead and join the group. It's free to join the group. You just have to answer some questions. So I always start with the roadmap of my life. So I always do a section that is now, and the good things that I want to continue, and then over here is the future that I want. So the good things I want to continue, I list here because they are going to become part of my goals. And so, like, I have some things like visiting my mom every month. She lives 3 hours away, so I'm putting that as a goal. Now, as I was doing the transfer over on that one, I was remembering one time when I visited Mom, she has a mailbox and she doesn't get very much mail. And so I decided to add on to that, to the future I want, that along with the visits, I'm now going to add on writing, creating 2 cards or writing a letter to her twice a month so that she starts to get some fun mail in her mailbox and not just junk mail. So what I'm trying to show you is, look at your life now. This is a roadmap. What are you doing now? What do you have now? What is your life like now that you like, that's good, that you want to continue? And so make a list of those things. And then you're going to look at how you're going to continue those goals for the next year. So for example, I have on here that I have this bullet journal now to track my goals. That is a change from last year because I just wanted to give it a try. Things like, I have a yearly savings plan that for, let's see, for 4 years in a row, I have been able to save without hardly noticing it, $5,000 in a year. And I found this online. I don't even have the website, but if you type in save 5,000 a year, you will be able to find different plans for how to do that. And I have been using this exact plan now for 4 years in a row and have saved 5,000 every year. That has been a huge benefit, and I've done it without hardly even noticing it. So I actually draw a line through each time, because I actually started this in December, and so I've saved my $100 so far. And it starts out small, and then as you go on and you get better at saving and finding ways to bring in money that were kind of unexpected, then it gets a little bit bigger increments through to the end of the year. But this has worked year after year. I think what might be a good idea is to maybe do a video, talk more about that and where it is that I find that money. Where is that money coming from? Because when budgets are tight, which for us, since our move, since lots of medical bills, the budget has become much tighter. What do I do? How do I do that? And so, put down in the comments below if you would like me to talk more about that, how to save $5,000 a year, because that is real life right there. And if you're interested, I'll do a video on that. So make a comment below about that. Okay, so back to the goals. So this is the what's good, what do I want to continue, and what would that look like? All right, then down here, things that need to change. And so it's been a rough couple of years, and I need to do some work on restoring my health, both mental and physical. And so I put that as the need to change, and I just go through and write down things that I would really like to see changed. One of them is my daughter who's disabled. I'd like to see her have more meaningful days. More service, make friends. We're in a new area, and I really don't have very many friends. There are things that one of the things I love to study. And so I have in there to go back to studying some of those things I love. I have here Hebrew and calligraphy and watercolor. So I make my list, and you can see it's a mess. And there are, you can tell that different days I was using pencil, I was using a pen. I leave this out where I can see it, and I process over several days these things. And I make sure this side is done for sure. What do I want to change? Then I go back through and I say, okay, what am I carrying over? What does this look like? So, for example, helping Anne have more meaningful days. one of those things I came up with was some school tasks to keep her being able to read and able to maintain her skills. And one of them is what we call a chimps list. And some days she loves it, some days she hates it. But it's a list of 6 areas that she needs to do something in each of those areas before she is allowed to have screen time. And so we call it chimps because it's CHIMPS. And it's creative, homekeeping. She has to clean her room, make her bed, help with emptying the dishwasher. Intellectual, we read with her. She does word searches. She does things with numbers. Musical, she dances, we sing. I've created a system to help her play simple songs on the piano. Physical is huge. Taking walks, dancing, and then on the spiritual level, we study the Bible, or we read little stories together from some little children's Bible books. And so that has really helped. And so I want to continue that, so I put that in my chimps list. And so there are just all of these things that I want to see change. And then once I have that, I go through and I start to brainstorm, and I'll leave this out like, here's my, my ideas for restoring my mental and physical health. I'm going to, tracking, and then I added a note and another note, and just as this comes up, I write things down, and I've even added to good things that I want to continue. Sometimes you're not in a great frame of mind for that. So give yourself 3 or 4 days to fill this in, and if it's a mess, that's okay, as you see. From there, I go into goal grouping. And so it's basically a simple grid where I go through after I feel like I'm done here, and I categorize each of those things. So I've got a personal goal here, a financial goal, a spiritual goal, family goals, and I just look at each one and say, well, what category is that? And then I just make a note next to it, which category, and then I take this and I can transfer those categories. So I have family goals, personal development, homekeeping, health, professional service, social, financial, and spiritual. Now, there have been years I've had only 6 categories, and this year there are 10 categories. So it just can change based on what you need. And then the last page, all of these pages are in that Facebook file. And so then the last thing you do would be to transfer all of this onto the seasonal goals. And I do that on the computer. So I have this one that is, my quarterly goals for winter and the dates, and I'll be transferring this here. I'm going to show you my old one that's finished it's one of my old ones from quite a ways back. So you see in that year, I had only 4 or 8 categories. One of them was fun. So, and then I went through and figured out from that list what each of those goals should be. And so then that's what I track, and that finished one is what I'm going to put in my bullet journal on that page that has my winter quarterly goals. It'll go right there. Okay, so that's just an idea for how to set goals, how to make your goals meaningful, ways to actually help your life move along and make a difference. Now, as a final little something, we're going to do a last little craft, because I'm going to show you this bin. And if you watched my my New Year's cleanup after Christmas video, you saw this tin, and at one time it was covered with a bunch of paper, a little project that Anne had been working on. But this is also real handy to use for bullet journal supplies. And so I made a little label that I'm going to stick on here because I do want to keep my bullet journal supplies together, my pens and markers and things. And so that's my last little something that we're going to do right here to finish this up. And I hope that some of these ideas will be helpful to you as you set goals. And one thing that I have really learned over this past year, and it's been a rough 2 years, you know it has. Oops, your years have been difficult as well. One thing I've learned is the importance of mindset and what you think. And if you believe that you can accomplish things, your chances of actually accomplishing those things goes way, way, way up. And so there's a lot of content on social media about mindset and the way you think and controlling your thoughts and visualizing success. And I'll tell you, I know that if we believe we can accomplish something, our chances of actually accomplishing it go way up. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, yeah, I kind of like that for my bullet journal supplies. And so all of these things that are kind of extra that I do want to keep track of, I do want to have on hand, I'm just going to go ahead and collect that all. I'll probably keep my bullet journal in the bin with the washi tape just so it's easily transportable. Okay, please comment below any suggestions you have for your goal setting, for your bullet journals, things that make a difference to you, and let's share and lift each other and help each other achieve the things we want to this year. Check out my links in the comments for supplies, for ideas, for the link to the Coming Home Facebook page. If any of these ideas were helpful to you, please subscribe to the channel and let's have a great 2022. See you next time.